What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast presented by Draftkings. This is the college football week 8 betting preview. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-host, Collin Wilson. Before we get started here, if you do use Twitter, make sure you use @Playbook, the new betting bot from Action. You can turn your screenshots into a bet slip. Just follow @Playbook on Twitter for more info. Really convenient. I use it all the time. We'll also have a quick slip link in the video and podcast description where you can find and detail some of the bets we discuss in today's episode, or you can visit actionnetwork.com/betnow. Also, a little selfish PSA. I'm the new co-host of the Favorites podcast, which has returned with a new lineup. Episodes Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays with myself, Kendra Middleton, and Brandon Kravitz. Bets, stories, all sorts of fun stuff centered around the NFL. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. And before we really get started, I'll throw it to myself for a quick word from our sponsor, Draftkings. The Big Bets on Campus podcast is partnered with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. And that's 3 months of NBA League Pass to new customers. To get started, just use promo code BBOC when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BBOC when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. The crown is yours. All right, Colin, another weekend of college football is already upon us. We've had some... I can't wait for weekday action. I can only take so much weekday CUSA.
Well, you're not enjoying this? Like, I'm just splitting units with this CUSA action, you know? Like, I mean, I've had a really good season, but this CUSA's crap is just...
God invented weekday CUSA to make us appreciate weekday action more. That's what I'm telling myself. But we have a lot of great games on the board. We will get to a lot of trash. We will get to some injuries. Got Arkansas football. We'll talk some Friday Night Lights, our favorites, favorite underdogs. You guys know the drill by this point in time. By the way, if you can take a second, leave a 5-star review. If we've won you any money this year, would be greatly appreciated. But let's get right into it with our first of, I think we're going to do 5 marquee games. This weekend, we'll start with Vanderbilt favored over LSU. It's been a while. They're 2.5-point favorites at home against LSU. So when I look at this game, I like Vandy in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't show, like, from a numbers perspective, I don't show a ton of value in it, but just how I see this playing out, there are a ton. Like, how I see this playing out is, number one, LSU's offense, they still can't run the ball. The offensive line still isn't great. They're basically asking Nussmeier to drop back and throw it 1,000,000 times a game. That's leading to turnovers. That's leading to, inefficiency on third downs, too many 3-and-outs. So what is that? And Vandy's pass defense is not great. Their run defense is their strength, which is neutralized a bit here because LSU can't really run it. But how do I think this game plays out is that LSU, look, they're going to move the ball some through the air. You have Trey'Dez Green, who looked great last weekend. Parker's emerging. Aaron Anderson's going to play. So it looks like LSU's going to have their full complement of weapons. But I think Vanderbilt's going to get some stops. And then when they have the ball, I think that they're going to be able to control the clock, especially if LSU is not at full strength on defense, and they might not be. They might be without 3 key defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Relaford's already out. It looks like they're going to be without. Let me pull up the injury report. In addition to their defensive line, Whit Weeks might be out. I mean,
he was
arguably their best defender. So the depth is really going to be tested on that side of the ball for LSU. They're also a very, I think Gooden is out. I think he's doubtful. So like this defensive line, and this is the strength of the team, the defense, but it's a very aggressive defense. Vanderbilt coming off the bye, they use that against teams. So I think eventually time of possession is just going to be massively swung in Vandy's favor. This LSU defense is going to wear down. There's going to be too many 3-and-outs, missed opportunities on third downs. The disparity in third downs between these two offenses is massive. I think that's going to be the difference. What say you?
I make this game LSU is the smallest favorite possible, like 1 point. And I think with the injuries, that kind of swings it the other way. I have kind of been waiting for the 3. I think a 3 popped up at a really small shop, and it just wasn't worth me putting it in. I think they've got me limited to like $125. So it wasn't worth putting in the app. No one else could get it. I don't see LSU. Like you said, LSU, can they stop the Vandy rushing attack of Diego Pavia and Cedric Alexander? Vandy runs everything in the book. Man, inside zone, pulling lineman, counter power. They run everything. LSU's 44% against inside zone and kind of worse against man concepts and other things and counter and power. So I just don't see the defensive line stopping what Vandy wants to do. So that means a ton of clock being eaten. This is an 11 a.m. game. From a Central Time Zone perspective, I do like the first half under in this just for that reason, because Vandy wants to go super slow. Can LSU have any success with the offense? Well, they're not going to be able to rush the ball. They're going to have to throw the ball, and that's the only way you're going to be able to move it on Vanderbilt. The Commodores are 108th in defensive passing success rate and 112th in EPA allowed, but is Nuss going to be able to take care of that? I will say his best coverage look that he's had the most success against is cover 3, which Clark Lee runs in the back of that nickel defense that he's called everywhere that he's been.
Not a familiarity, too. I mean, Lee used to be under Kelly.
Is Nuss going to be that good in this matchup? Is he? And his numbers aren't stellar against cover 3. It's just his best success rate out of all the coverages that he sees. So I see slow prodding, first half under, and I would scoop a 3 if it shows, and it wouldn't be for a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Vandy somehow pregame. I don't mind that first half under look for sure. Staying in the SEC, we have Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia's 7.5-point favorite here, total 53.5. Georgia with revenge on its mind from a loss last year to Ole Miss, 28-10. It was pretty dominant effort by Ole Miss. Ole Miss comes into this game 6-0. Georgia 5-1. I've been on the record of saying that this Georgia team is nowhere close to elite. I mean, like the difference in these SEC teams this year, like I think Texas A&M is the best SEC team. Bama close behind, but like the difference between the tier 1 and the tier 2, like throw in Tennessee, Missouri, Auburn, LSU, Vanderbilt, like Texas, Oklahoma. I could go on and on. There's like not much of a gap.
3 points between Bama and Missouri, right? Just 3 points.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that close 3. I mean, obviously at Missouri, but there's just not that big of a gap, and there's going to be more chaos in the SEC. Now, do I believe in this Ole Miss team? No, not really. Look, they've had the easiest strength of schedule so far among all SEC teams. They easily could have lost to Kentucky. I think they should have lost to Arkansas. So the offensive line is not great. The defense is nowhere close to where it was last year. Right. But this Georgia team, the secondary isn't as good. They're not getting elite pressure. But I think they're going to be able to run the ball at will here against Ole Miss. And I do think that Ole Miss, I mean, Lane Kiffin came out and basically said they were preparing for the Georgia game during the Wazoo game. The week of the Wazoo game, and they almost lost as 33-point favorites. They went 24-21. And Georgia has come out very slow in a lot of games over the past 2 years, including this year. And then what happens? Kirby's still the best in-game adjuster in the sport. So I can't get to laying 7.5 with Georgia. Something else of note here, Trinidad Chambliss, D2 transfer. He's played pretty well. I think he's mainly your one-read quarterback. And there's going to be most likely some mistakes here, communication-wise, in his first road SEC start. That's going to be more difficult with Lane and him and that entire operation.
They're throwing shade on Trinidad here.
I think that could lead to some mistakes. So if Ole Miss comes out, they're going to have Lane will probably have some wrinkles. Kirby will adjust. If I can get Georgia live at a better price than what they're at right now. That's how I'll look with the dogs. What are you seeing here? Ole Miss, Georgia.
I've got to have an explanation for our listeners. The play in this game is Georgia team total over 31.5. Wrote it up for action, but everybody that follows on the app saw me put in an Ole Miss bet +7 that I did on Sunday for a nickel because I thought the line should have been 5. Then I started writing this game up and I went deep into the numbers on Monday and Tuesday, and I was like, oh my, there is a chance here Georgia could absolutely run away with this game. And I think a lot of what you said about Trinidad is true, being on the road, the communication, but there is more to that I think is not being paid attention to. Is the spread too high? I think so. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss, 212 yards on designed runs from inside zone keepers, 10 explosive runs. He can scramble out of a pressured pocket, and Georgia doesn't get any pressure whatsoever, 122nd in the nation. And you look at, Trey Wallace, Harrison Wallace, the third, Deuce Alexander, 2.4 yards per route run. So, I mean, you've seen all these highlights from this Ole Miss offense that makes them look like they belong in the elite class and they should be a college football playoff contender. But Georgia dominates inside zone. 56% success rate against that run concept. When Ole Miss lines up for man blocking concepts, Georgia goes up to 60% success rate against that tendency. So what Ole Miss likes to run on the ground is bad news because Georgia eats that up. Now let's go to Trinidad. What do I handicap when I see these players in space? Can you tackle at the second level? Georgia has been insane in their tackling in the last 3 games. They've missed. Now, on average, teams miss about 13 tackles per game. Georgia's missed 17 total in the last 3 against Auburn, Kentucky, and Alabama. I don't think Trinidad Chambliss is getting outside. I don't think he's creating space. I don't think he's juking anybody out of their shoes. And I don't think Deuce or Dazon Stribling or Harrison Wallace are going to be able to do anything, even if they make a catch. The numbers here from a second level tackling and a PFF graded tackling tell me that Ole Miss is not going to have many things happen after a handoff or after a catch. And I think that's kind of what Ole Miss's offense is based on. Chauncey Bowens wasn't on the injury report. I'm looking at the SEC availability report, so it should be full go for all the running backs. Nate Frazier, he's the more elusive back. Georgia's 10th in offensive finishing drives. They are really like the anti-Texas here. Like they are finishing things once their drives get past the 40. Gunnar Stockton and Josh McCray have been absolute red zone tanks. That's going to be the difference in some of the, if they get into an SEC championship or the playoff, the fact that they have this red zone package is going to be big. And then when I was researching Zachariah Branch, it's like Ole Miss doesn't tackle well. Look at Zachariah Branch. 36 targets this year, 21 of them behind the line of scrimmage. Like he gets it and just goes berserk. Ole Miss's tackle grading is 74th, right? So I got one defense that doesn't allow any scat backs to get anywhere, and I got another defense that can't handle the fact that Zachariah Branch is going to get the ball behind the line of scrimmage and just go crazy. I think Georgia definitely scores their total of points. Over 31.5 was the team total over. I'm kind of in trouble with the nickel that I got down on Ole Miss +7. I'm absolutely going to try to get out of that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to come over the top and go on Georgia if I can get a flat 7, if I have to wait to be live. But maybe it will be slow. But I'm just putting out a warning signal for everybody. Like that play I have in the app, that was a Sunday opener. And once I did the research, it looks really good for Georgia to win this game and cover.
Should be a good one between the hedges. Let's move on to the Big 12. Texas Tech, undefeated Texas Tech, not only straight up at 6-0, but against the spread, one of 2 teams along with Memphis that are undefeated. They'll head to Tempe to take on Arizona State. Texas Tech, 7.5 point favorite, total 51.5. You want to go head to head here? I got Arizona State.
I know. I got a really bad number on Texas Tech. Yeah, I'll go ahead. What's the number?
7.5.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'll go head to head with you.
All right.
I mean, the number's down because of Sam Levitt. I'll let you talk about it, but like I had no expectation Sam Levitt was going to play this game.
Yeah, I got word that Levitt was looking good in practice, mobile, nothing on his ankle. And I basically throw out last week at Utah. And by the way, this is an enormous strength of schedule to start. I mean, Texas Tech's at like 125th in the country. Arizona State is a top 25 strength of schedule so far this season. Both of them have played at Utah, but Texas Tech played at Utah when Dampier was clearly injured and didn't practice all week. And Arizona State played at Utah when they didn't know Levitt was going to be out until the day before because he sprained his ankle playing apparently a pickup basketball game. So Jeff Sims, who's also an enormous drop-off didn't take any reps with the ones, and they found out the day before, and they had to play at night. Big difference in Salt Lake City than when Texas Tech had to play in the morning. So, look, I'm trusting Kenny Dillingham here. This is your season on the line. You throw everything at Joey McGuire, who I still don't fully trust, and Sam Levitt. I almost positive is going to play and is going to be pretty much okay. All Sam Levitt and Kenny Dillingham do together is cover. Sam Levitt is 14-2-1 against the spread, 87.5%, including the postseason, against FBS teams over the past 2 years. He's won 5 times in 7 games as an underdog. Could have also easily beat Texas as a 13-point underdog. And for what it's worth, Arizona State's 51-33-4 against the spread, over 60% in home conference games since 2005. Third most profitable team in the country in that scenario. But Texas Tech, look, I'm a believer in Texas Tech. I think they are the best team in the Big 12. I just can't get over a touchdown here. And they're banged up. Gil Howard, one of their best defensive tackles, is out. Romello Height might not go. He's questionable. Baron Morton, their starting quarterback, is questionable. Now their backup, Will Hammond, is one of the best in the country. They have one of the best backup quarterback situations. But Texas Tech isn't at full strength. Arizona State, they're not either, for what it's worth. Offensive lineman, Coleman, one of their best, he's out for the season, got hurt last week. Looks like all their secondary guys who got banged up last week are going to be a go. Their backup punter, I think, is going to play again. He's really bad, and their special teams are really bad. That is a concern here. But the one question I have for this Texas Tech team is their cornerback group, and that's a position that I think Arizona State can attack, not only with Jordan Tyson, but they got Jalen Moss back last week. Now, with Jeff Sims, you're not going to be able to do anything. But the third downs, the red zone operation, it might look a little better with a viable second option at receiver. I'm trusting Dillingham. This is an all-in, buy low, sell high spot. Give me the Sun Devils, baby.
Yeah, there's still things. I mean, the reason why I'm going to go head-to-head with you is there's still things in the numbers for Arizona State that I really don't like. I mean, get past the offense of what's going on with Sam Levitt there. The defense is still outside the top 100 in finishing drives, are allowing a lot of possessions past the 40 to score over 4 points. They're 117th in the defensive rushing success rate. And Baron Morton, I mean, day-to-day with his ankle injury, you mentioned Will Hammond. Will Hammond is just an absolute tank in the red zone. Like, he just bulls guys over and knocks them down. And, Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams, they should absolutely feast. This Arizona State defense, 117th in rushing success rate. Sun Devils are 37% success rate against inside zone. So I think Texas Tech's going to be able to run their offense and do what they want to do, despite if Sam Levitt plays or not. And even if Sam Levitt does play, I mean, Arizona State's 120th in passing success rate. It has not been a great offense this year. And they're not scoring when they get into scoring position. They are finishing drives problems on each side of the ball here. Arizona State's poor in tackling. Texas Tech's defense has just been absolutely crazy against man, power. Raleek Brown is just going to have to do a lot of work here. He's forced 35 missed tackles, but he's going up against a Texas Tech defense that's tackling at a pretty good rate. So I took a bad number. I'm going to stick with it. I'm taking another number with you. I'm going to stick with it. The numbers in here tell me that Arizona State, who also, by the way, dead last in SP plus special teams, is something that could swing this game. So I'll stick with Texas Tech. I'll stick with my bad number, and we'll write it out.
I have to take the spot here. Anything over a touchdown spot. I mean, we're saying basically, given the spot and home field, that Tech is now 10 points better than Arizona State. Not there. I think this should be under a touchdown. I mean, Tech's covered every game. They've looked great. They've also played nobody. And they played Utah with a hurt quarterback. They played Houston with a hurt quarterback. Who else have they played? It's one of the easiest.
They're not going to play anybody, and they're going to be number 2 or 3 in the college football playoff rankings.
We'll see. I think they go down for what it's worth. Moving on to the SEC. I think they're going to be in the Big 12. And I think they're eventually going to get to the college football playoff. I think they get upset this week.
Okay. If they don't get upset, let me look at this schedule. If they don't get upset this week, which this would be the week, hosting Oak State, going to Kansas State, hosting BYU off a bye, hosting UCF.
They're going to win out.
Yeah. So
this is where they're going down.
This is it.
Trust in Dillingham. All right, let's go back to the SEC. Alabama, like Georgia, also looking for revenge from a loss on the road last year, will host Tennessee. Alabama 8.5 point favorite, total 58.5. Like, I don't think that this Alabama team is super elite. They're playing better. Ty Simpson is playing really well. There's going to be, I just don't know if they can be balanced if Jam Miller doesn't go.
Right.
He's clearly the best option. He's questionable with concussion. I'm not sure if he's going to go or not.
And
Now,
the rest of their running backs stink at
yeah.
creating yards.
Now, the thing is, can Ty Simpson just drop back and throw all over this Tennessee secondary? Probably. In the SEC play, you're starting to see Tennessee really miss their two corners who were going to start. They thought they were going to get him back by this point in the year, but neither are going to go, including McCoy, who is going to be a high NFL draft pick. So they're going to be without their projected two starting cornerbacks once again. What this Tennessee defense is, I mean, they have a lot of holes. I mean, this is a team that should have lost to Mississippi State, that should have lost to Arkansas without a couple fumbles on their home field. And, in those games, they gave up what? And they also gave a 44 to Georgia. I mean, this is a UAB was going up and down the field. A Mississippi State put up 34. Without a couple fumbles, Arkansas puts up 40+ and wins in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. This defense is not very good. What they do is create chaos and havoc, right? Sacks, tackles for loss, forced fumbles, defensive touchdowns. They're all in the top 10 nationally in those statistics. That's what this game is going to come down to. How much, if Alabama is not able to run the ball and they're just dropping back, how many negative plays can they create? Can they force Ty Simpson into some mistakes? Because if not, I don't think that they can cover Alabama consistently. And Joey Aguilar, in Tuscaloosa, I don't think it's going to end well. It's going to end probably with some mistakes. And I think Alabama eventually pulls away. Do I see any value with laying 8.5? Again, I don't think that there's a huge difference between tier 1 and tier 2 in the SEC. No, but it would be Bama or nothing for me. You got anything here?
I make the total 65. I think it's. I hope I don't say this incorrectly. I think it's kind of a gift that this thing went down from 59.5 down to 59, being a pretty key number. Draftkings actually at 58.5. So we'll see. We'll see if that. I don't know if there's weather related. We'll have to check that out because I know there is at the Arkansas game. So we'll see what's passing through. But another part of this is Jam Miller came out questionable, so you have to wonder how good the Alabama offense is getting to be. And it's not just Jam Miller. It's also wide receiver Derek Meadows. He's got concussion protocol. Ryan Williams is.
Where is Ryan Williams?
He's got hip leg issues. He's got 10 drops on the season. He had one target against Missouri. They've been limiting his snaps in practice. Ty Simpson's going to need everything that he can get out of his offensive line that's top 25 in pass blocking because Tennessee is 8th in pass rush. And I love myself some Ty Simpson, but at the same time, he has to have people to throw to. I don't know if we're just going to be doing Jeremy Bernard and orbit motion and doing handoffs, jet sweeps to Jeremy Bernard as our running game here, but that's kind of looks like where we're going. The number, in my opinion, should be a lot lower. I mean, I make this 3, and the problem is I still can't justify why. I mean, there's a lot of injuries, especially the Tennessee defense, so I can see why it would steam that much. But at the same time, Alabama always gets a lead on everybody. Unless your name is Vanderbilt, Alabama always has a first quarter plan for certain players on offense that will get them the lead. Same thing in this game last year when Tennessee had to come back and won. They won the second half last year, 24-10. I mean, Kalen DeBoer perfectly planned for this game against Josh Heupel, and Heupel came out in the second half and absolutely whipped Alabama. I kind of expect the same thing to happen here. So I think an Alabama first quarter is in play. I think a Tennessee live play is going to be in play somewhere around the middle 8. But this Tennessee secondary, you're right, 81st in defensive passing success rate. They're missing McCoy. Arkansas took full advantage of that on the outside, but then again, we don't have Ryan Williams out there to do that. If there is a wide receiver that you can find props on, if you have a book that has deep prop, Latsier Brooks was the benefactor of Ryan Williams. Like, he's picked up his target share. He's gone from about 2 or 3 a game to about 6. If you're finding props out there, that might be the guy to target with Ryan Williams being in so much pain. But overall, I just think that's the way to play this. Is the over at 59 is good for me. Alabama always has a plan and wins the first quarter. I think a live bet on Tennessee is the way to play.
I don't mind the over, especially if Miller's out. Then it's just going to be
Right.
dropping back and throwing, and there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be some Aguilar mistakes, and there's going to be a lot of throwing from Tennessee. So I don't mind that. I'm at 9 though, so
oh wow,
I'm way off. You're Mr. High on Alabama, and you're only at 3. I juiced up home field here in this spot with revenge. I have it at like 4.
I think one other thing I wanted to say about Tennessee's stretch spread, I had it in my notes, and Tennessee's explosives, their 2 biggest routes are crossers and hitches. You just know that's how the stretch spread works, right? Alabama's defense, their secondary, has a 33% success rate against hitches, which is really bad. Like, it's just going to be hitch city and explosives. So I do like Tennessee a lot. I just think Alabama's going to get on the board first.
All right, moving on to a non-conference matchup between USC and Notre Dame. Notre Dame 9.5-point favorite, total 61.5 Saturday night in South Bend, 7:30 Eastern, and we have beer in the crowd this time around for this matchup. So the Notre Dame defense, Chris Ash has fixed some things. Leonard Moore is back, one of the best corners in college football. Notre Dame already lost Jagasol, their left tackle. They lost their center for the year. One of their best defensive tackles in Rubio is out. And then USC has a bunch of injury questions as well. Their running backs are decimated. We'll see if the true freshman walk-on can have another big game. Their left tackle is questionable.
And he's the guy too. Elijah Page is the guy. That's the anchor of the whole offensive line. So
yeah, so he's important. I'm very curious to see what happens in this game. So I make this only 7, but everything surrounding the game favors Notre Dame to me.
Yep.
So you have USC traveling out to the Eastern time zone where they have not been
How
good.
many wins have they had in Big Ten play in the Central Eastern time zone?
0. They have not been good there. And then the weather with USC. So like this was arguably the number 1 and number 2 running backs that'll be taken in the draft next year. But Waymon Jordan is out for 6 weeks. His backup is already out for the year. So your running backs are decimated. Everything in a Lincoln Riley offense starts with the running game. And now you're going up against a team that their defense has not let up a point in the second half in 3 straight games. And if you can't get the running game going and there's weather, that's not great. And you know that Notre Dame is going to be able to run the ball in USC, one of the best backfields led by the number 1 running back in next year's draft, and Jeremiah Love. I am super curious to see what Notre Dame does with Makai Lemon, who might be the best receiver in the country that's going to the draft next year. He's going to line up in the slot a lot. Devontae Smith is questionable. He's supposed to be their slot corner. Hasn't been healthy since, really week 1. In the slot, they tried, I think, Hobbs first. Then they've tried this kid Golden, who's been horrendous. So number 1, will Smith back, or will they use Leonard Moore to follow Lemon around in the slot or outside? He mixes it up. That's super intriguing to me, because if they don't, I think Lemon props could be, if you haven't watched Makai Lemon, he's an amazing watch. He's basically going to be like Puka Nacua, in my opinion. So that's a super intriguing matchup. But with the weather, the travel, some of the USC injuries, that all screams Notre Dame to me. This is basically a college football playoff elimination game. If Notre Dame loses, they're out. If they win, looking at their schedule, they're pretty much a lock to get in. That's one spot from the Big Ten or SEC, most likely, that's either going to be open or not. And one of those spots could be taken by USC, but USC either needs to win this game or win at Oregon. That's pretty much what their season comes down to, and they can't slip up at Nebraska. What say you?
Yeah, that ain't happening. USC's in big trouble here. Waymon Jordan runs counter.
They're winning at Oregon, by the way.
Maybe so. We're so down on Oregon now. Wayman Jordan is the running back for USC. Counter inside zone power, just a big part of this efficient offense. It all starts with him. He's not going to play. Don't know when he's coming back. King Miller had 29 rushing attempts and 3 explosives against Michigan. He's going to have to take on a heavier load than he has in recent games before, and we'll see if he's able to still grind in the third and fourth quarter with a carry load that he's never had before. Elijah Page, like we said, didn't play against Michigan. His backup, Tobias Raymond, he had a very poor run blocking grade against Michigan. Center Killian O'Connor also missed against the Wolverines. He doesn't really have a return date. So this offensive line is just a mash unit right now. And what Notre Dame does on defense, they can be attacked, but they have to be attacked with man blocking concepts. Just line up, hand the ball off, and go up to the A, B, or C gap. And that's just not what USC does. So I expect Notre Dame defense to have success in getting USC to throw the ball. We'll see what they do with Mekhi Lemon, but that's it. I mean, that's all you have to target on. Now, the other side of the ball, Notre Dame is absolutely, and you mentioned Jeremiah Love being the number 1 pick in the draft coming up. How far down the board is Jadarian Price? I mean, he's had as many explosives this year as Love. And right now, I mean, you look at the combination of Carr with the 1-2 punch of Jadarian, of Love and Price.
Carr's playing very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think about how it took him till the second half of the Miami game in the opener before he finally didn't look like a freshman. It only took this kid 2 quarters to figure it out. But Love and Price, 15 touchdowns, only 2 fumbles. They're both averaging over 3.6 yards after first contact. And they're just unstoppable using outside zone and 11 personnel. It's one of the highest success rates in the nation. They average an explosive 1 of every 4 touches. And then you look at the passing attack, top 20 in passing success rate. They're top 4 targets. Notre Dame's top 4 targets, all over 2 yards per route run, which is the barrier for explosive wide receivers. Again, they run hitches and comeback routes. It's the Trojans haven't been able to defend any of this. They can't defend zone read. Even Notre Dame is pushed into passing downs. They're currently 4th in success rate in passing downs. There is heavy rain in the forecast for the first half of this game. I'd keep my eyes on that. That could really affect totals going on here. But that actually, like I've said, favors the running team. And the running team here is Notre Dame, not going to be this mash unit from USC. So if the weather does look bad, it'd be a Notre Dame first half. Overall, like Notre Dame for the game. I wrote it up for action, Notre Dame team total over. I don't see Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love getting stopped whatsoever. And I did take a Jadarian Price prop. His number out there in DK was 61. He averages 70.3 yards per game, and I think he's going to have a lot of advantages here. So, and keep your eyes on the wind. I read 20-mile-an-hour gusts. That wouldn't be good for the USC passing attack either. So there's an avenue here for Notre Dame to absolutely roll.
Yeah, my numbers like USC, especially at 10, but all the surrounding factors keep me off here. All right, let's get to the rundown. Go through a bunch of games here. Let's stay in the Big Ten. Washington at Michigan. This is another game where my numbers like Washington, but the spot isn't great. Michigan 5.5-point favorite here. Washington continues to take a bit of money. Total 50.5. But you got that West Coast team traveling. I mean, Washington's done a lot. Their travel schedule is brutal.
They had 4 separate trips to the East Coast last year. Now they're out here again after Maryland. Yeah,
noon kick, 9 a.m. body clock. It didn't work out well for them last year at Iowa. We'll see if Jed Fish is adjusted. There's also some key injuries. Like, will Carver Willis play, their left tackle? Huge drop-off to his backup. They also had their guard leave, Mills. Will he play? I don't know. Durfee, he's one of their best edge rushers. Will he play? I don't know. They did get Tacario Davis, one of the best corners in college football, back. Jacob Manu, one of their linebackers also. They already lost their best linebacker. Manu didn't play last week. They held him out because they're figuring out his eligibility. It's a whole thing. The rest of their linebackers are bad. Going to need them against Michigan. So there's a whole lot of uncertainty, and it's not a great spot for Washington. Playing Michigan, coming off a bad loss, you should get their best effort here. Anything here?
Yeah, I've been waiting all week for a flat Michigan -3 in the first half here, because Washington not only cannot win when they travel, they did finally beat Maryland, but guess what? They didn't score.
They started slow against Rutgers too. They start slow a lot. That's I'm going to be looking for a Washington live, depending on the injury report.
So I'm betting Michigan in the first half. There are a couple books juice -2.5, but I'll take Michigan -3. That's flat right now. I mean, Washington didn't score in the first 3 quarters against Maryland in that win. they didn't even. Yeah, I mean, the super slow start every time on Rutgers against Friday night. It's like I was worried about my team total over on Washington. They had to come out and have a 21-point outburst in the third quarter to seal the game. Last year, 4 road losses: Iowa, Rutgers, Indiana, Penn State in 2024. This team just cannot travel whatsoever. And I do worry that Michigan's defense was kind of destroyed on the ground by USC, especially with a couple of backup offensive linemen. USC had 6.2 yards on the ground and 36 attempts. But so Williams and Coleman should have a clear path with outside zone. I mean, Michigan's only 44% against outside zone, but when do they flip that switch at this time of day to start doing that? Because I've spouted off these numbers before, and then they show up and they're completely flat. And then the Justice Haynes thing, which I don't think he's going this weekend. If he doesn't go, the backup Jordan Marshall, 2.7 yards after first contact. That's just, there's nothing special about that number at all. So from a Michigan perspective, without Justice Haynes, Bryce Underwood becomes the primary ball carrier, and passing to Samaj Morgan and Donovan McCulley becomes the expected route for the offense. In other words, I don't think Washington knows what they're going to be preparing for in the first half of this game. I don't think they're going to know if Justice Haynes is playing or not. And right now in practice, they've got to be preparing for both, like a world with Haynes and a world without him. So I think that's completely to the advantage of Michigan in the first half. That Washington's not going to go. It's going to come out. Combine that with the fact that Washington's always slow in these games. I'll take Michigan first half.
Here's an ugly one. Oklahoma at South Carolina.
Gross.
Oklahoma 5.5-point favorite, total 43.5. You want to talk about the offensive line injuries on both sides. South Carolina could be down multiple starters going up against that Oklahoma front. That is not ideal. What are we going to get from Mateer? Clearly wasn't healthy last week.
He says he's a full go in practice and having no problems after he threw 3 INTs because he had no zip on the ball whatsoever. But he says he's fine.
I hate the South Carolina team with everything that I have, but not backing Oklahoma here. You got anything here?
Yeah, it's a first half under game. I mean, I don't trust what Mateer is saying. I don't trust South Carolina's going to get a push against that OU defensive line. That OU defensive line travels. It doesn't matter what time of day, right? They went to Temple and brought everybody from Norman and Oklahoma City and said, we don't give a shit what time this game's being played. We're going to eat Temple alive. Like, that defense just fucks. I mean, sorry, we can delete that out or whatever, but the defense never stops. And Lenora Sellers, 151 scramble yards this year because he's always under pressure. I mean, this kid, he's never had protection in his entire life. So I first half under here all the way. And I don't believe Mateer is completely healthy. And South Carolina can play a little D here. 20th in stuff rate. South Carolina's 20th in stuff rate. I mean, they're going to be able to stop the OU rush.
Oklahoma can't run it on their own. I mean, yeah. They also might be without one of their best receivers. But yeah, the defensive lines here should dominate this game, which should be ugly. I don't hate that.
Jefferson Pilot time slot. You always take the first half under.
Yeah, this is 12:45 Eastern. Missouri at Auburn. Missouri's flipped to a 1.5-point favorite, total down to 43.5. You know, my numbers say Auburn. I might get to playing them.
Yeah.
Where are they at mentally after last week? The refs melting down, everything that went against them. Where's Hugh Freeze at? But here's the thing. If I can get a gauge that that they care and they're focused, because now, I mean, Auburn has 3 losses, so like their season is over. This is a team that was like, hey, you're going to the college football playoff, and it's not a great spot just situationally if they don't have their mind right. But Missouri needs to run the ball. You can't run on Auburn.
Right.
We've seen that nobody can. And we saw last week it was the first real test for Beulah, and I don't trust him to throw the ball. He bails from the pocket way too quick. And these edge rushers for Auburn can, I think, cause him some issues. Can Jackson Arnold and company move the ball? Probably not consistently, but at home, I still like Freeze directing the choir, telling him what to do. I think that they'll be able to find enough offense to win this game if they're in the right state of mind. You see anything here?
That's the problem. I mean, that was a massive breakdown. That was a failure by the coach to grab them at halftime. It was a failure by the players to be able to pick up from that end zone stuff.
And the refs.
That, and how much of that does that linger in their brains into practice, into prep for this game? Another grind coming up here. Oh, now you got to take on Ahmad Hardy. From an X's and O's standpoint, yeah, Auburn absolutely should be the team that we're playing here. I project Auburn -3, but you cannot negate what happened last weekend. Ahmad Hardy is better with, he does a little outside zone mixed with a little inside zone. Auburn's been much better inside between the tackles, so you would expect Hardy to be popped outside. And then Auburn's 88th in PFF tackling. So Hardy, if he's going to break one, it's going to be off the edge, but we'll see if that's what happens here. But Prabula, who I finally am trying to get this name right. 2 years, Bo Prabula, 5 big-time throws, 6 turnover-worthy plays. He's had 1 big-time throw in the last 4 games against Bama, UMass, South Carolina, and ULL. 1 big-time throw from this quarterback. I mean, when does he get the yank from Drink? It's bad. It's bad. So Auburn has an extreme
the backup's hurt. I mean, he was like the co-starter, Horn. So like they don't really have anyone else to go to.
They're gonna can Drew Pine transfer back in?
I still don't trust the Missouri kicking situation either, which is worth noting.
Well, the other thing too is, I just cannot figure out for Auburn for the life of me. Now to pick on Auburn a little bit, why in the world did you get all these wide receivers and you're 133rd in pass EPA? Jackson Arnold
can't throw.
He's made 2 big-time throws this season. How bad are these two quarterbacks? They're bad. 7 turnover-worthy plays on the season?
I also don't mind the under here. This field, to me, if Auburn cares, this is like 21-17 Auburn. If Auburn doesn't, it could get ugly, and it could be 23-3 Missouri. But my numbers say Auburn. Well, that's the way I lean. I think I'll be going to be on them in some form or fashion, but I'm just trying to. I know some people close to the program. I'm trying to just get the vibe check. So make sure you stay tuned to the Action Network, the award-winning Action Network app, where you can find all of our bets. Georgia Tech at Duke, undefeated, top 15. Georgia Tech. I like Duke here. I'm just waiting for this line.
Yeah, I like Duke too.
To keep coming down. Put it on the board?
Well, I'm in the same boat as you. The reason I don't have it in there is because of the number. I'm waiting on the number. So, but yeah, we're on it. So
all right, we'll put Duke money line on the
board.
Put
everybody on the app watch that you and I are going to snag it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Georgia Tech. I love Buster Faulkner. I love Brent Key. They've been very fortunate. They're getting too much credit for the Clemson win. Like I said, Clemson stinks. They should have lost at Wake Forest. They're 3-0 in 1 possession games. Duke has played the much tougher strength of schedule so far, and Duke has really found its offense. Mensa is rolling, and here's where I think this. Look, the Duke secondary, the Duke run defense has been excellent. You can't get a push on them. Georgia Tech obviously wants to run the ball. I think what that's going to lead to, a lot of 3rd and longs, known passing downs. That is how you beat Duke this year. They're really missing their stud safety who's been out all year. They have 1 really good corner, but this isn't an electric Georgia Tech passing attack. It's all scheme. It's Buster Faulkner. I mean, this is a great Buster Faulkner versus Manny Diaz, great chess match. But if you look back at Haynes King, if you look back at Haynes King's numbers, multiple seasons under pressure and against the blitz, they crater. Now, most quarterbacks fall and their numbers get worse. Under Haynes King's numbers fall off a cliff. What are you going to get against Manny Diaz? Lots of pressure, lots of blitzes, and I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be able to run the ball. On the other side, this Duke offense, which is rolling, they're going up against a Georgia Tech defense that I just don't value highly. This defense is worse than last year. They have 1 really good linebacker I like, 1 corner that I like, 1 defensive lineman that I really like. Outside of that, this defense is gettable. I think Haynes King under pressure is going to be in some trouble here. Georgia Tech's not going to be able to slow down this Duke offense enough.
Yeah.
I think Georgia Tech suffers its first loss of the season. I'm rolling with the Blue Devils. Anything to add there?
Well, first off, I'll say from a board perspective, there's -120s widely available out there on the money line. So if we want to tell everybody that, I
just put money line up there because we're going to wait for the cheapest money line possible.
I'll throw 2 bullet points to everything that you were saying. First off, Darian Mensa hasn't thrown an interception in 3 games and just 1 turnover-worthy play against NC State, Syracuse, and Cal. Georgia Tech's outside the top 100 in coverage per PFF. So I think Mintz is going to continue to ascend. There was some struggles there at the beginning of the season. I think he's going to continue to ascend as the quarterback that they paid for here. And then the second point is Duke is the much better team in Havoc here with a tougher strength of schedule. So, I don't trust Georgia Tech's offense to completely protect or keep the ball off the carpet. So Duke for a lot of reasons here.
All right, let's go back to the Big 12, the Holy War. Utah 3.5 point favorite. Total 49.5. This game will be played 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox in Provo. Should be an electric atmosphere. I had Utah circled after last year for a whole year because of how last year's game ended, the officials, a lot of animosity. Remember Whittingham's comments after the game? So I had Utah circled. I can't get to this number. I want to fade BYU too. Yeah. But I just can't quite get to this Utah number. And I don't even give Utah that much credit for last week. Yeah, their triple option offense was rolling, but Arizona State was in a horrible position with their backup quarterback. They didn't even know he was going to start until the day before. So, I didn't upgrade Utah as much as I normally would have in a normal situation for beating Arizona State like that. BYU did get pretty fortunate against Arizona in a game they trailed by 10 in the fourth quarter. But I just can't get to this number. It is worth noting that looks like the BYU's very good linebackers, and it looks like Kelly is going to start. He was out last week. He's the spy. That's important. They are going to be down a couple guys in the secondary. Their starting safety who got hurt last week, and their nickel has been out for the past couple of weeks. I just don't trust this Utah passing attack and their receivers to want to lay it with them on the road and need them to win by, semi-medium margin. So, yeah, I think that sadly this is a pass for me. I think that I saw you play BYU. You like the Mormons?
I did play BYU at 3.5. Yeah, because I make the game 2. So I mean, is that good enough for me to throw some coin down on it? Maybe. But then I went through all of the numbers and the matchups, and really, frankly, what this is Bear Bachmeyer and LJ Martin. What they do from a run concept perspective, can Utah stop? It's sort of a wash. Well, from a Utah perspective, can Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker and Nakari Rogers, what they do on the ground with power and inside zone, can BYU stop that? That's pretty much a wash too. Really, where the advantages for BYU are in the stat sheet is offensive rush EPA. They're going to have some explosives here, and they have a way better tackling grade per PFF, and these are pretty similar strength of schedules. So slightly, I like the number because I think it should be less than 3. BYU has better rush explosives than what Utah has so far, and they have a better tackling grade per PFF. So for those reasons, I took BYU plus 3.5, and I'm absolutely going to try to get Utah plus 3 on the other side. So this will be my pour myself a scotch and roll the tea, go out to the porch and try to live bet a couple of these.
So I don't have Utah. In order to make Utah bet even at 3, I'd have to have them a touchdown better than BYU on a neutral field. I just don't have that. So I wanted to play Utah. I wanted to play them since last year. If it was under 3, I would have played them.
I've got Utah power rated 4.5 better. So I'd have this over 7 if they were at home. But
yep. All right, moving on. Let's see. Let's go through some injuries here. Quarterback injuries. Bowling Green, Drew Pine. He was in a boot last week. Not sure he's going to go. I'll talk about that game in a bit. Penn State. I don't know what we're going to get from Penn State. Grunkemeyer, he's a highly touted kid. Obviously, he's at Penn State. They're at Iowa. Where are they at mentally?
The defensive line can't stop anybody. How are you taking them against this Iowa rush attack?
I'm not taking them. I'm not betting that game. I have no idea what
I don't know how anyone would do it.
Arizona State, it looks like, as we talked about, Levitt is a go. Wisconsin, who knows? Michigan State, Childs might not play. Doesn't even matter.
Texas Center is out.
Yes. Clemson. Klubnik looks like he's not going to play.
That's the word I got. That's why the
market crashed.
Flowing that through the app before I could say anything. I was told not to say anything.
UCF, it looks like Taven Jackson's back. Fancher's out. Their left tackle's also banged up, and one of their edge rushers will be out. But Taven Jackson's the better option there. They play West Virginia, who's still pretty banged up. Some other injuries worth noting, like Georgia State's defense is really banged up, especially their defensive line. The entire BC defense, we'll see if they get anyone back against UConn. I think that they're cheap if they do. Colorado State's defense has been down like 9 starters. That's worth keeping an eye on. UNC is going to be without their top cornerback, and they can't get pressure. That's not good news against JKS.
And they're taking a lot of money right now as we're recording this from 10
They
to
are.
10,
Gio Lopez should be back at quarterback. I have no interest there. Those are some of the cluster injuries worth noting. Some tough spots that I might end up playing. Like here, Oregon is in a tough spot. Like, do we see these teams that top 10 games the week after, they usually come out flat as big favorites. They're going out to Rutgers to throw in travel. Would lean Rutgers at over 17. Ohio State, they're at Wisconsin. They're laying 24.5. Can I actually play Wisconsin?
It's getting pounded.
Probably not. But Ohio State, number one, is a snail. Number two, like, do they really want to run it up on Fickle, the alum?
He's like the closest cousin of the Ohio State program in the coaching ranks.
Probably not. And like Ohio State does the smart thing of they usually like practice like load management. So like if they get a big lead, like, and they're going to be slow. Wisconsin's going to be running it and slow. So like it just could be like Ohio State not really caring that much to want to get huge margin and they win in a low scoring game. I just don't know if I can bring myself to bring them. Same thing with Michigan State. After that pathetic effort last week, can I get myself to play them against Indiana? Indiana, off that huge win, come home, play Michigan State. Can you win by 30? Like, you don't even need to get margin anymore. Like, they prove themselves. So, like, is Cignetti the same way that he's been before? I don't know. That number is too high, pure numbers based. Yeah. But can I play Michigan State and then their quarterback might be out? They might get a couple guys I thought were going to get back last week on defense. I don't know. That's a tough spot, though. And then here's two I'll probably play that are ugly, and we didn't even get the trash yet. Florida Atlantic and UAB. They play USF in Memphis. I make them under 3 touchdowns. They're catching over 3 touchdowns. USF and Memphis play each other next week.
Yep.
In a huge game.
I power rate that a 7-point favorite for Memphis at home. That's bigger than I thought it'd be.
Oh no, I'm at a pick. We're way off there. I'm not a believer in this Memphis team, who has covered every game. But here's the thing: USF. I think the market that'll be 3 though. What that spread will be. Memphis -3. But like FAU, both those FAU and UAB have the offenses to score. They also have the offenses to get in the back door. So, and UAB did not like Dilfer from everything I've heard, the players. So maybe there's like a bump there.
Shocker.
Offensive coordinator taking over, and he was the play caller anyway. So massive backdoor opportunity if needed in that game with 2 offenses who can score. And 2 teams that are, it's a bad spot for USF coming off that huge win over North Texas. You got Memphis on deck. Like, I know that last year Golish ran it up and, had that handshake with Tom Herman, but the year before Herman was running it up. Like, I don't think there's any bad blood here. So I might look at UAB and FAU, but they're ugly. All right, it's time for some trash. All right, we are primed for a big weekend. We've just been having a good year, college football, but the trash specifically has just been treading water. Let's have a big week. We got 5. Starting off with Air Force. Yep, we're laying points with the worst defense in the country that's allowing over 8 yards per play. Here's the thing. Air Force is a great spot. They're 1-5. Their defense has been bad. They can't cover anyone in the secondary. The run defense isn't terrible. But look who they've lost to. Navy, UNLV, Utah State, Boise State. These are all like top 50 schedule adjusted offenses. So their defense is bad. But this will be a break for them. Wyoming's outside the top 100. They don't have a ton of receivers. Their tight ends are all hurt. Is Wyoming going to score? Yes. Can they match this electric Air Force offense? Probably my favorite in the country to watch. No, I don't think so. Air Force at home gets it done. Desperate for their first FBS win. Wyoming last week, they put up 35. They were getting blown out. They were about to get blown out. San Jose State misses 2 field goals.
Like
their quarterback gets hurt.
Yeah,
what?
It was like turnover city too.
Yeah, and then there was a pick six, another punt return touch. Like, it was a joke. They can't keep up. This Air Force offense is electric. Let's call it 41-31 Air Force.
I'm not. I make it 5, so I'm not going to join you, but I am going to play Air Force team total. I like the over in this game. Don't know if Wyoming can hold their part, but I know Air Force's offense can. So
Air Force offense is electric. We're going to go UL Monroe against Troy. UL Monroe, look, Troy has won 3 straight. They beat Buffalo down 17-0 in the fourth quarter when Buffalo's quarterback got hurt. They scored 21 straight late. Then they've won 2 straight, both in overtime, against South Alabama, who has 1 win, and Texas State, who can't win a game as a favorite. And by the way, those are two of the 10 worst defenses in the country. The ULM defense has actually been decent. They've been really good on early downs, really unlucky on late downs. There's some potential regression coming there. Tucker Kilcrease was amazing last week, but for most of the season has been unplayable. I'm not buying it. ULM is going to grind the game down to a halt. I am worried about their special teams. They're really bad, but they're going to run the ball against this bad Troy run defense. This is a good spot for ULM off 2 straight losses. I make this, closer to a field goal than 6. I think there's value on the Warhawks. Give me UL Monroe.
Yeah, I make it 5, so I love the 6. I'm on the board with you. If you want to go into the numbers, ULM has a pretty, top 40 in defensive rushing success rate. The Troy offense is broken, but more importantly, what sticks out on this stat sheet? ULM is 3rd in offensive rush EPA and 13th in pass EPA nationally. This team is like no first downs. They'll probably have more explosive plays than first downs, if that's even possible. Yeah, it is, because they scored touchdowns. But no, this team is all about EPA here, not about success rate. So that's something that Troy's going to have a real problem with.
All right, let's go to the MAC. And we're going to go with Central Michigan against Bowling Green. Bowling Green last week upset Toledo. They're on 21-0. They were 0-75 over the past 20 years in games when they trailed by 21 plus. How'd that happen? They had a fluke screen touchdown at the end of the half. They had a fumble at the 1. They stopped Toledo a couple times inside the 20. They had a trick play touchdown. They were outgained by more than 200 yards. And, 80 of them came on a trick play, wide receiver pass. Lucian Anderson is really bad. I don't think Drew Pine is going to play. I think it's like a field goal drop off to Anderson. He just can't complete a forward pass. The Central Michigan, both these teams are slow, run heavy. They're better at defending the run than the pass. Bowling Green cannot exploit the Central Michigan secondary. And one of the reasons I played Bowling Green last week, new roster, new staff, they were coming off a bye against Toledo. Well, now Central Michigan's coming off of a bye. Very diverse run game. The offensive line has struggled a bit, but Drinkle during the bye can fix some of those issues. I think they're going to come out with some new wrinkles. Like, this is just an ugly game. 2 similar teams that profile similarly. I think this will come down to like a fluke turnover. I don't think there's much difference between these teams, and it's MAC home field, which is generally completely overvalued by the market. I mean, since 2005, MAC home teams in league play, 46%. If you are $100 better and you bet every MAC home team in league play, you'd be down over $10,000. And among all MAC teams, no teams cost bettors more than Bowling Green. 27-50 against the spread at home in MAC games, 35%, failing to cover by over 4 points per game. Unbelievably, they're 1-14 against the spread as a short home favorite of 6 or less, 6.7%. Give me the chips. Fire up chips.
Yeah, you can put the chips on the board with me. We'll agree on that. Bowling Green, who is a run-first team, is going to go up against a Central Michigan defense that is 27th in limiting rush explosives. There's some advantages in the rushing attack that Central Michigan has from a run concept perspective, and they run the ball 70% of the time. It's kind of fun to watch when they get going. But yeah, definitely Central Michigan here.
All right, we're going to go Purdue at Northwestern. I think we're just getting some inflation in the market after Northwestern's huge win over the corpse of Penn State. Meanwhile, Purdue's been so unlucky. Like against Illinois, they didn't have their the senior captain in the back end. There was some coverage bust, but from a success rate standpoint, they were much better than Illinois. They were just unlucky. They had 2 fumbles in that game. Last week against Minnesota, they should have won that game 50 different ways. But they had 200 more yards than Minnesota, but they were -3 in turnovers, and including a pick 6 that won the game for Minnesota in the fourth quarter. They've lost 4 straight, 3 against ranked teams. They were -9 turnover margin in those games. It's time to buy. This to me is a coin flip game. I think Purdue's the better team. Their run defense has been outstanding, and that's what Northwestern wants to do. And if the Preston Stone turnovers are coming, among 102 quarterbacks with at least 150 dropbacks, he has the second highest turnover-worthy play rate, only behind Malachi Nelson, who's now benched at UTEP. Ryan Brown's been good. The Boilers should get their ground game going. And Northwestern's run D is allowing 5 yards per carry, 110th. Purdue is at 4 yards per carry. I think this is a coin flip. For what it's worth, following an upset as an underdog of 20-plus points, home conference favorites are just 9-19 against the spread since 2005, failing to cover by about 6 points per game on average, 32%. Give me Purdue.
Nice 14 points by UTEP in the fourth quarter last night. I disagree. I'm not going to go head-to-head with you, but I don't know if I'm even going to play Northwestern. I do think at 2, it's gone down a little bit too far. There is a massive problem between Northwestern being a top 20 team in quality drives and Purdue being a bottom 20 team in quality drives. So that tells me that Northwestern, at 58% run rate, they're going to be able to hold on to this ball as long as they want and control the clock here. So I'm a little bit uncomfortable backing Purdue, especially at a number that I make 4.5.
I'm at a true coin flip here. Is it down to 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, would like 3 there. 2 would be very small play if you didn't bet it from the app already. Last one. Let's go in my backyard. Cats. Kentucky, yes, I consider them trash. Plus 13, you can get out there against Texas. First of all, it's a tough spot for Texas. Stoops has been really bad off the bye, which is my one concern. I mean, he's been horrendous. He's 4-13 against the spread, I think. 3-12 against the spread with extra prep against SEC teams. But Texas over the past 10 years is usually the week after the Oklahoma game. They come out a bit flat. I think the bye should be very helpful for Cutter Boley and this Kentucky team. I've heard good things about the practice. I know there's a lot of rumors with Stoops, but I know a ton of people that are close to the program. I've heard that the practices have gone really well. But this is more about Texas. Do I think the offense is fixed? No. Last week they scored 23. They had a punt return for a touchdown, and they got Mateer throwing picks all over the place. I mean, there's still issues on the offensive line. Arch still has issues in consistency and accuracy. I mean, he's out of 134 qualified quarterbacks. He's 91st in adjusted completion percentage. He has more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws, despite 12-5 touchdown interception ratio. And if you remove the blowout win over Sam Houston, arguably the worst team in the country, Texas has only averaged 21.8 offensive points per game, despite countless short fields, like every week. They've only put, in those 5 games, they've only put together 4 touchdown drives of at least 60 yards in non-garbage time. And that includes games against UTEP and San Jose State. So what's Kentucky going to do here? They're going to play a ton of zone coverage. They're going to take away the explosive play, and they're going to force Manning. And by the way, Manning has struggled against zone so far in reading defenses. They're going to force this Texas offense, which is broken, to work it methodically down the field. And if they do, then they're going to have to punch it in the red zone where they've struggled for years. So this is just too many points. Like Texas probably wins an ugly one. Like the Texas offense, who has played an easier schedule than Kentucky. Kentucky's played one of the toughest schedules in the country. They're converting third downs at like 39%. That's the same as Kentucky. Kentucky's played the tougher schedule. Now that look, this should be a lower scoring game. Kentucky has the better special teams too. Give me the near 2 touchdowns in my back pocket.
I don't blame.
Kentucky wants to scare into Texas. There's always one or two a year where like Kentucky's going to have the ball with a chance to win late at home under Stoop. Sometimes it's on the road. This is the spot, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would join you maybe if it was 13. There's other things in this stat box here that like, like they're just not favorable for Texas here. 117th in penalties. I mean, you are so undisciplined. They're still outside the top 100 offensive finishing drives. I don't think that's ever going to get fixed in the Steve Sarkisian area. Think about this. For all the Lamborghinis and the money that you're paying this offensive line, you're 102nd on offensive stuff rate, and your center Cole Hudson is out for this game. And you're right. They're gonna play as many deep quarters and cover 3 as they can,
and they're gonna run the ball a ton. They're gonna take every second off the play clock. They're just gonna shorten this game to the max.
This Texas offense is such a disappointment. This whole Texas team is such a disappointment. But
and the defense is good.
Yeah, the defense is good. But by the way, something might get you to the house here. Kentucky's 16th in special teams SP plus, and
I said that. I said Kentucky lead special teams.
Well, Texas 104th. I was just trying to get to their bat. They're not good at all.
Yeah, kicker problems. All right. Before we get 3 and out, Colin, talking Arkansas.
This
Arkansas, 7.5 point dog at home against Texas A&M. Le'Veon Moss is out for Texas A&M. That might hurt their run game for a bit. Look. Where this you have the pulse program. I want to take the 7.5. The Arkansas offense is playing too well. There's also so many avenues to a back door. They should have beat Ole Miss. They should have won at Tennessee. Like I feel like the offense can keep up. And if they're down 14, they're down 10 late, they can get in the back door easily.
I 100% agree. But the problem
is on the board.
We can put it on the board at 7.5. I don't think it's going to go up. I definitely don't think it's going up to 8 or 9. I think for anything it'll go down. So let's put it up there at 7.5. What I've been waiting on is the weather here in Fayetteville. Like we're expecting some massive thunderstorms to roll through that could definitely in the morning. The morning is just going to be, there's not going to be any tailgating going on down at Donald W. Reynolds because it's going to be some pretty bad storms. Lightning scattered by the time we have kickoff here. The defense is unbelievably improved from the standpoint of effort. And all I'm hearing, I mean, think about this. Cam Ball, our nose, was getting into fights with the Volunteers offensive line. When have we had any kind of will to do anything where we're getting in fights with offensive line? So the sentiment from every defensive player that I've read interviews from is that we finally have a coach that believes in us. Defensive coordinator Chris Wilson has completely changed the practice. Petrino's making them go extremely fast. Petrino I thought he might just enjoy this interim thing and kind of ride it out. He's full asshole mode, like vocal, yelling at people. He's dictator role right now on both sides of the ball, throwing people under the bus, just yelling at everybody. I think Petrino's just having the best time of his life right now. One thing that's kind of crazy, Arkansas is 12th in PFF tackling. Like they've really cleared that up. Another point for Arkansas, Petrino knows half this Texas A&M roster. I mean, he spent like 15 minutes talking about Le'Veon Moss and about how close he was with the kid when he was there as OC. That's only been 2 years. It's only been 2 years since he knew this roster completely. Texas A&M still struggling when teams cross the 40. Their defensive finishing drives, 124th. That's not good. So, Arkansas's offense right now is absolutely clicking, especially from an EPA and big play perspective. So I think they keep up. I'd like to know more about the weather, because Arkansas's big weapon is on the ground with Mike Washington, Taylor Green. But if it's just a complete downpour, that limits Casey Concepcion and Craver getting down the field. But does it limit Taylor Green?
I think it wouldn't hurt or help either team too much. So,
you don't think so? Yeah. So I'm happy with Arkansas plus 7.5.
All right, before we get out of here, let's go 3 and out. All right, Friday night lights. We got Louisville at Miami, Nebraska at Minnesota, San Jose State at Utah State, North Carolina at Cal. The only game I like is I like Louisville a lot.
I don't get this number at all, this 13. I don't get it.
I think, by the way, Chris Ball, one of the worst favorites in the country. I mean, he's 16-25 against the spread as a conference favorite of more than a touchdown, 39%. Braum, elite dog, 10-4 against the spread. when with a cover margin of 8 points per game when catching over a touchdown. He's 9-2 against the spread on the road when catching more than a touchdown. 5 outright wins. The Louisville offense, I talked about this weeks ago. I want them after the bye. There's a coaching mismatch, first of all. They need to get healthier on offense, which they should be here. The offensive line versus Miami's defensive line is concerning, but I think this is a peak Louisville game. Mario will mess it up somehow, even if they build a lead. Well, Louisville keeps this close. I think they put a scare into Miami. I like the Cardinals.
You're missing a key point here because I make this number lower. I make it 9, but I mean, you're missing a key point here. Louisville lost to Virginia, averaged 1.4 plus overall yards per game.
They should have won that game by like 17. It was 2 defensive touchdowns.
They lost that game with a 90% post-game win expectancy, which I think is beefing this lineup.
Yeah, and Miami's been so good, but like they got Carr in his first ever start. They got Florida when they were a mess. South Florida in the worst situation.
4 home games to start the season. You're going to look great.
And we've also seen how bad Florida State has looked in other games. Like,
right.
So yeah, I think Louisville. Keeps this close.
You ready for Virginia to make the college football playoff?
Oh, it should be. I can't believe Louisville lost that game. Any other games? Nebraska, Minnesota. I would lean San Jose State over a field goal. Utah State's offense has been very good. That one should be back and forth. Nebraska, Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's been bad. Do I want to lay it with Nebraska? Not really. North Carolina, Cal. I actually lean Cal. Just North Carolina with their best corner. They can't get pressured. Do you have anything in those games?
Nebraska can't defend outside zone, which is Minnesota's going to run. They're 44% against it, and they're allowing a lot of explosives. So I think maybe that's the reason Minnesota's been taking some money down to 7. I did like Utah State until I looked up the numbers and saw that their defense is dead last in finishing drives, and they're 131st in havoc. They're essentially 11 lawn chairs out there lined up. So can't get into that whatsoever. And then you and I talked about it, like this Cal. How far does this Cal number go down until I want to take them? I mean,
I'll take them. What is it at now?
It's down to 8.5 at DraftKings.
At 7, I would definitely take them.
Yeah, I think that's our buy point.
All right, second down, favorite overdog. That's our favorite. I'm going with Air Force. Already talked about them. It's the only favorite I've bet so far this week. You rolling with your boy?
Yeah, I'm going to roll. I can say his name again. I'm going to go with Billy Napier. There is a problem with Mississippi State in the trench when they face defenses. It can absolutely maul them, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. This Florida defense is nasty. Don't see a lot of rushing success rate coming out of Mississippi State in this game. Their finishing drives number is going to be a problem in the swamp. Lagway continues to improve. I don't really pay attention to Florida's overall season numbers because they are getting better offensively every game. So I think Florida's going to roll.
Whenever you think Billy Napier is down and out, there's rumors about him being fired. Regardless, I don't know how that's going to impact. Whenever you count him out, that's when he's at his best.
That gets him. That's why you score an extra touchdown when you're playing Mississippi State.
Yeah, could be. All right, let's move on to our Moneyline Underdog Parlay. I'm going to roll the short one, Old Dominion. I think they're the better team. I'm not off them after last weekend. I think they're the best team in the belt. I've said that all year. They need this game after the loss last week. They lost to Marshall, but there was 5 turnovers. The JMU offense has kind of been stuck in the mud, and they played 3 of the worst defenses in the country over the past 4 weeks. I mean, this is a team they needed a Liberty quarterback injury. It was a 4-point game in the fourth quarter. They needed a late touchdown to beat Georgia State's 14-7. It's the operation just hasn't looked great. I trust this Old Dominion. I trust Joseph. I think I have the better quarterback here. And I mean, Ricky Ronnie is a road dog. I mean, every single time he just covers. Sometimes, a lot of times he wins. He's 16-7 against the spread as a road dog, 70%, covering by about 8 points per game. He has got 9 outright upsets. Old Dominion, look, short travel here. I think they're the better team, class of the league. Give me the Monarchs, who've been better like across the board. EPA margin, yards per play margin, then they played the much tougher schedule. For what it's worth, if you compare these two quarterbacks, Barnett, 6-6 big-time throw to turnover-worthy play rate, 60% completion percentage with only a 7.5 ADOT. Joseph, 14-6 big-time throw to turnover-worthy play rate, 63% completion percentage with a 13.8 ADOT. I like the Monarchs. Where are you going?
I'm going to go. Let's just dust off our gifts here. We're going to go meet. We're going to go UTSA. I wrote them up in the Havoc play of the week. 13th nationally in Havoc for UTSA. That's bad news for quarterback Drew Mestemaker. For North Texas, he was harassed, picked 3 times, had 5 quarterback hurries against USF. That's going to happen again here. North Texas is a methodical drive team. Then they ran into, they're top 35 nationally in methodical drives. They have a lot of quality drives, 10-plus plays per possession. They produced only 1 against South Florida. Now they're getting a defense that's just as good at doing all of that. And plus, when you look at North Texas' numbers, and people were thinking this could be the group of 5 team, their strength of schedule is 121st. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on in these numbers here. They cannot defend inside zone, which is what UTSA runs. Meep all day, +4. I see it crashing to 3.5 at another book. I love the Roadrunners.
All right, that'll do it for us. We'll be back with our recap episode Monday morning, featuring the best of your deranged voicemails. 959 Bad Beat. It's in my Action Network profile, my Twitter profile always. And if you want to tell some of the bets we discussed, as I mentioned earlier, look for the quick slip link in the video and podcast description, or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Make sure you check out the Group of 5 guys. Download the award-winning Action Network app. Live show 10:30 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. We'll be back next week, Thursday. Group of 5 guys Wednesday, as I mentioned. Thanks to our producer, David, on the back end. Thanks to Colin for joining me. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Leave a 5-star review if you can. Let's have a weekend. By the way, agree to have Duke, ULM, CMU, and Arkansas on here again. Head-to-head, I got Arizona State. Colin is Texas Tech. Trash. Air Force, Monroe, Central Michigan, Purdue, and Kentucky. Go Cats. Let's have a weekend. Catch y'all later. Cheers.
Peace out.